You're marrying your brother to get him immigration status. Pam Bondi and the AG, and it's like when it comes to Republicans, Pat, they are this build a case. This is why people like me and people like you are losing their freaking minds. The documentation's there. The marriage records, the family records. If this was the other part, bro, can you imagine if this was the other part was in charge? She married her brother for legal. You're done. You're done. It's illegal. You're marrying your brother to get him immigration status. Am I losing my mind?
No, well, they make you feel like you're losing your mind.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
Like I'm thinking crazy.
Yeah. And it doesn't stop there. But this is my opinion. There is no way. Tim Walz, my opinion. Ilhan Omar, Keith Ellison, the AG of freaking Minnesota, they don't know and billions. And this is what pisses me off, Tommy. They bring them to Congress to go in front of the Senate. Did you see Keith Ellison's attitude? Did you see him talking? The only way you have, if one of us right now had to go to Congress, do you know how proper? And he's sitting there with an attitude. The only way you have that attitude is when you know you're untouchable, when you know they can't do nothing to you.
What's that? That's the marriage certificate for Omar to her brother. Who posted it? The White House. Yeah, she's probably not going to be here for a long time. If she's allowed to stay after the White House posted that, there's a bigger problem here in this country. They posted all the details of when he arrived, when they got married, everything. On top of all the fraud that she's allegedly involved in, it looks like they're a lot deeper into that investigation than they're letting us see. But her time is coming, and I'm here for it because we've been having this conversation so long, probably a good close to a decade, if not more. Are you going to appreciate and celebrate if she gets deported? Yeah, me too. Exactly.
So in the year 2000, Ilhan Omar becomes a U.S. citizen. In 2002, she marries her first husband, Ahmed Hirsi, and they have 2 children together. Now, they get divorced in 2008, and in 2009 is when she supposedly married her brother, Ahmed Elmi. Now, while she's still married to her second husband, her alleged brother, Elmi, she has another child in 2012 with her first husband. She doesn't divorce Elmi until 2017, and then she remarries her first husband, Hirsi. However, just 1 year after remarrying her first husband, she starts having an affair with a political consultant, Tim Minette, who's also cheating on his wife with Omar, and then she divorces her first husband for a second time. Now, even if we set the brother rumor aside, that is a serious paperwork game going on there. She was married for 8 years to one man while having children with another man, and if you weren't keeping track, that means she was married 4 times to 3 different men. So who is Ahmed Elmi? Well, the first thing about him that's important to note is that his name is Ahmed Noor Saeed Elmi. Now, if you remember, Ilhan Omar's father's name was Noor. So according to Ahmed Elmi's name, his father's name is also Noor. So judging by his name, him and Ilhan Omar have a father with the same name. Now, a story recently broke on Ahmed Elmi, and it's truly shocking. Apparently, he has social media profiles where he goes by the name The Dandy Daddy, and he's dressed very flamboyantly. He's wearing these short shorts. He was described to wear lipstick. He's also referring to Ilhan Omar's children as his nieces and nephews. Now, that social media profile has since been deleted, but I think it's very clear to see by just simply looking at this guy that he definitely has a little extra sugar in his tank. And if you have any doubts about that, Elmi studied for his PhD in gender studies and was a research assistant in queer theory, and he's been spotted with people like this guy. Not to mention that a friend of Omar and her first husband, Hirsi, Abdehakim Osman, said that back then when Omar was supposedly with Elmi, that she introduced him to everybody as her brother and said that she was trying to help him with paperwork, and she never once introduced him as her husband, and their marriage was performed by a Christian pastor and nobody from the Somali community was invited. Now, Osman said that's because a Muslim imam would have immediately noticed that they were brother and sister and refused to perform the ceremony. And not only that, but in the Muslim tradition, if a marriage isn't done in a religious ceremony, they don't recognize it. So they could say to themselves that they weren't married and that it was just for paperwork. And at the time, this was before Ilhan Omar was in Congress. Her first husband, Hirsi, was actually more well known in the Somali community.
Omar is married to her brother. It's not a rumor. So there's a marriage certificate that has surfaced. I'm going to insert a clip that shows proof that Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman out of Minnesota, is married to her brother. The rumor was floating around a couple of years ago that she had married him to get him into the country to get a green card. And a lot of people, I guess, brushed it under the rug because they're like, you can't do that. Well, apparently she did, and she's married to her brother. And so the thing that's really interesting is there's all of these statistics that are coming up. So let me back up. Ilhan Omar is the congresswoman out of the 5th district in Minnesota. You know, the state where Tampon Tim is in charge, that place. And that place has essentially been kind of overrun by a group of immigrants, Somalians. And she's Somalian. And now there's all of these statistics and data that's coming out showing that in the state of Minnesota, 78 to 81% of people that are receiving government assistance are from Somalia. So we already know taxpayers have been footing this bill and subsidizing these illegal migrants since 2020. We already know that. But how is it, like, was it like some type of scheme? Like, was she became the congresswoman, she's in her 4th term. She's been congresswoman for 6 years, so she's been reelected in Minnesota. Was it like, yeah, I'm gonna get this spot and I'm gonna get all the people in? Because if she did that,
A major fraud investigation in Minnesota is drawing national attention with millions of dollars at the center of the case and strong reactions from political figures, including the President of the United States, President Donald Trump. Supporters are demanding accountability and transparency, while others warn against misinformation and broad generalizations tied to the case. This isn't just about one investigation, it's about how narratives form and how facts get interpreted in real time. So the real question is, what's confirmed and what's being amplified beyond the evidence? Let's get into it. Original credit to creators whose video will be used for illustration and example.
Yesterday, we had a caller who called in and said, can you explain the situation with Ilhan Omar and her brother? Here is what you need to know. Based on the Daily Mail story from February of the year 2020, Squad Congresswoman Ilhan Omar told friends years ago that the man who went on to become her second husband was in fact her brother. The Daily Mail can confirm. Omar married her husband Hirsi in 2002 in a Muslim ceremony that, like many in the immigrant community, was not registered with the state. But in late 2000s, Elmi appeared in Minneapolis, said Osman, who referred to Hirsi by his nickname Southside through an interview. People began noticing that Ilhan and Southside were often with a very effeminate young guy. It has long been rumored Omar and Elmi were brother and sisters, but because of a lack of paperwork in war-torn Somalia, where they're both born, positive proof of the relationship has never been uncovered. The New York Post reported last month the FBI was investigating the marriage and had met with a source in Minneapolis who handed over a trove of documents. Any findings were to be shared with Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the U.S. Department of Education. Anyone found guilty of committing marriage fraud faces 5 years in jail. In other words, there's no real proof that she married her brother, but there are lots of rumors and accusations in the Somali community that she married her brother. That's where this attack from Donald Trump comes about Ilhan Omar. You know where a real attack should come is that Ilhan Omar has been getting lots of money from the Feed the Future scammers in Minnesota and has been pressuring people to back down, claiming it was racism to even look into it. She screamed about Islamophobia. She screamed about racism, where members of this Somali community engaged in this massive welfare fraud where some of them were sending money back to al-Shabaab terrorists in Somalia, were giving her campaign donations.
Remember, cases like this highlight the importance of separating verified facts from speculations. Serious allegations deserve serious investigation, but also responsible discussion. Right here, we always focus on clarity, context, and facts over hype. If you value real informed commentary, subscribe, share your thoughts respectfully, and stay informed. This video is intended for commentary, analysis, and educational discussion purposes only. So share your thoughts below in the comment section and let's see what you think about it. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and turn your notification button on so you don't miss the video from us. I'll see you in our next video. Bye for now.